For those who don't know, Rugrats was a popular Nicktoon about babies from the 90s. It had characters like Tommy, Chucky, Phil, Lil, the adults, and a spawn of Satan. It was kinda Nickelodeon's most successful cartoon at the time, until SpongeBob would later dethrone it and pretty much every other Nicktoon, but that doesn't matter. With that much success will naturally come theatrical movies, an entire trilogy somehow. The first movie wasn't great, it was kind of annoying in some areas, but at the time it was one of the very few 2D animated movies that wasn't Disney to become a box office hit, so there was that. The second one seems to be everyone's favorite, and for good reason. It holds up pretty well.
Here comes Chuck E. Cheese. Here comes Chuck E. Cheese.
The third movie, not many people like as much, but I thought was kind of fun. It's like a crossover between Rugrats and some other show from the Rugrats cinematic universe, disguised as a movie. After that, I got a couple TV specials, musicals, spin-offs, and then just slowly died into obscurity, so that the yellow little munter would take its place. But then in 2018, during the hype train of Nickelodeon bringing back their old Nicktoons, which didn't last very long, they announced that a new Rugrats film would be premiering in 2021, directed by the guy who did the live-action Wimpy Kid film. But then in 2019, the film was cancelled in favor of Clifford the Big Red Dog, so instead we got an animated reboot series at the year the movie was supposed to come out, 2021. But then in October in 2024, Paramount suddenly decided to revive the idea, and it would be a live-action movie with the babies being CGI, and I can't believe we're still doing this. There's also going to be a live-action Curious George, a live-action Magic School Bus, a live-action How to Train Your Dragon, a live-action Rabbids movie, a live-action Pac-Man movie with no Adam Sandler this time, a live-action Naruto, a live-action My Hero Academia, a live-action Hello Kitty, a live-action Sims, a live-action Totally Spies, a live-action Talking Tom, a live-action Thomas the Tank Engine, a live-action Polly Pocket, another live-action Scooby-Doo, another live-action Monster High. Oh yeah, let's not forget the live-action Minecraft with much more on the way. I'm not even gonna dive into the endless supply of Disney remakes. Oh my god. Live-action Adaptations has had a horrendous reputation ever since they were first started. It was kind of a thing that gotten bigger and bigger when stuff like Alvin and the Chipmunks, Iron Man, and Transformers popularized it. I mean, you got stuff like the Scooby-Doo movies, right? And then someone saw that and said, hey, well, what if we did that, but with Garfield? And then someone saw the Garfield movies, right? And then someone said, hey, what if we did that, but with Alvin and the Chipmunks? And then someone saw Alvin and the Chipmunks and was like, hey, what if we did that, but with the Smurfs? Fucking Smurfs. It was kind of a long-growing shit pile that thousands of nerds really got tired of. But as the years went by, we have been proven many times that these things can actually be really good. Even before stuff like the Sonic films, One Piece, Detective Pikachu, and Barbie, there were classics such as Tim Burton's Batman, the first two 90s Ninja Turtles, Casper, Addams Family, Rocky and Bullwinkle, the Diary of a Wimpy Kid films, -1. The Peter Rabbit films were fun in my opinion, and that first Garfield movie is a guilty pleasure of mine. Even the James Gunn Scooby-Doo films and Speed Racer have their fans. So the kings, by far, had to be the Paddington movies. Not only because they have great comedy, great acting, great cinematography, great effects, great characters, and just in general actually give a shit, but it feels like there was genuine love and passion to everyone involved making these. Same with others that followed suit. But then occasionally you would get live-action adaptations that will remind you, oh yeah, these can still be shit. Case in point, stuff like the Tom and Jerry movie, which, you guessed it, only existed because Alvin the Chipmunks was popular. I swear to god, this film was so close to being good, like, its intentions were spot on. Not only were the characters animated in this 2.5D animation style, whatever the fuck you want to call it, but it looked like the characters were actually driving the story, and it looked faithful to the cartoons with Tom and Jerry not talking. But then somewhere along the way, some jackass decided the human characters needed more and more screen time, completely sidelighting Tom and Jerry in the Tom and Jerry movie, almost like they were getting bored of Tom and Jerry in this Tom and Jerry movie. They decided to call Tom and Jerry. I mean, yeah, the actual Tom and Jerry stuff was pretty good, but everything else is just so boring and stupid. How I would have done it, either give Tom and Jerry more screen time, make it a fully animated movie, or actually make the human characters fucking funny. Then you got Clifford the Big Red Dog, which, I mean, I suppose isn't bad, but like, It's just the textbook definition of incredibly generic, which is kind of most dog movies nowadays. You got the Borderlands movie, which is all around a crock of shit. It just felt like they wanted to do their own Guardians of the Galaxy instead of a Borderlands movie, and also completely missing the point of what made those movies peak cinema. And while I think Borderlands could work in live action, I feel like a good chunk of the franchise's appeal was that cel-shaded art style. Like, imagine something similar to that Arcane series. That shit would have slapped. I mean, of course you had to get actual good writers for that too, but it would have kept my attention better. And then you got Harold and the Purple Crayon, which is probably the most random fucking choice to make a live action movie out of. That and Underdog, which, why is he a real dog? Was it really that hard to just make him look like the cartoon? Wait, Jason Lee was in this? Anyways, Harold and the Purple Crayon. Not only is this from the director of Rio, which is depressing as hell, but it's also not really an adaptation of the book at all. You get that shit in like the first minute and a half, and then it just cuts straight away to adult Harold, voiced by Zachary Levi, along with his best friends Moose and Porcupine. You know, from the book, haha, those characters that showed up in one page. The movie is about the narrator of the book who loves to talk but suddenly goes radio silent, so it's up to Harold to go to the real world. Yeah, he's not in the real world already. He's a fictional character. He goes to the real world and tries to find his creator. But then that plot gets ignored when Harold suddenly comes across this chick and her son, so now it's up for Harold and the Purple Crayon to cheer up this woman. I have no problem with the fictional character goes to the real world shtick, like whatever, that's nothing new. But why do it with Harold and the Purple Crayon of all things? Wasn't Harold already in the real world and all that crayon shit was just in his imagination? Something the movie would not shut up about, ironically. No, what we get is essentially a ripoff of the Fat Albert movie in Elf. Isn't that exactly what you wanted from a Harold and the Purple Crayon movie? We lost an animated film for this shit, though it's not like the book was ever meant to be a movie to begin with. That might sound like the Harold movie was doomed from the very start, but if you knew you had very little to work with, why didn't you take any inspiration from the cartoon? Why isn't there like an entire society of people living in Harold's world instead of just this one moose and porcupine? Maybe have Harold from the real world, played by a child actor, come back to his crayon world and realize there's some form of darkness invading it, and so now it's up to Harold to stop it. Have it be the plot of Shark Boy and Lava Girl, basically. I don't know. Sounds more interesting than Smurfs 2.0, but without the marketable cute characters, so the movie essentially has nothing. Why even make the damn thing? If all you wanted was the technological gimmick of crayon draws things that comes to life, well, I didn't need an hour and a half of that. And that's the thing. We're getting more and more live action movies based on content that makes no sense to be a live action. It feels like most live action adaptations, well, the bad ones anyway, either want to bank on the success of the MCU, Alvin and the Chipmunks, or Smurfs. And the latter definitely sounds true for the Rugrats movie because problem one is the idea of a live action Rugrats movie at all. Like, why can't we just make it animated? Problem two is that the babies will be CGI characters. No! Look, you can do CGI with animals. You can do CGI with aliens. You can do CGI with toys or inanimate objects. You can do it with a fucking snowman for all I care. Basically anything that isn't human. That's just how it works. CG animals look more appealing. Because if you do the Alvin and the Chipmunks effects on humans, chances are it's gonna look like shit. And don't take my word for it. Take Son of the Mask's word for it. And the Twilight movies. And that stupid-ass Flash film. How are you gonna do this without it looking insanely creepy? I feel like the only movie that would kind of pull this off is Space Jam: A New Legacy, with characters like Elmer Fudd, Yosemite Sam, and Granny. That's a mix of cartoon and realism in a way that's kind of cool to look at, and aren't perfectly terrifying to put your eyes on. The same can kind of be said for Alita Battle Angel, who only has the appearance of a human. But then there's the third problem. It's the fact that these characters simply aren't designed to be anything other than 2D, because it's a cartoon! I mean, look at that Rugrats reboot that's fully CG. That already looked abysmal. So imagine that, but with a bigger budget and it's more realistic looking and it's in a live action setting. Will this be the Tom and Jerry thing again, where they're still 3D but are trying to emulate the 2D art style? Because that would honestly just make the characters look more out of place. And I'm not even gonna think about who they're gonna cast to play all the adult characters, these goofy ass looking people. One of the many questions I had while thinking about this movie is, What is the goal here? You know, outside of money, which I doubt this thing will get, is the director genuinely passionate about live-action Rugrats? Who even is this dude? Jason Moose, the director of Pitch Perfect, Sisters, and Shotgun Wedding? Yeah, that's the guy you want doing a fucking Rugrats movie. The show's creators are apparently working on this, so that gives me some sort of hope. I still have no idea how this is gonna work or why it's even a thing. I like live-action adaptations when they feel like genuine passion projects and, you know, are also good. Not when they only exist just to get a quick buck and end up kind of shitty as a result, which is most likely what's happening with Rugrats. Look at Detective Pikachu again. That movie works because live-action Pokemon was something people genuinely wanted to see happen. It sounds like a really cool idea. Does live-action Rugrats sound like a cool idea? Does live-action Harold and the Purple Crayon sound like a cool idea? You could replace that shit with Felix the Cat and his magic bag and nothing would change. Does live-action Woody Woodpecker, Hello Kitty, and Popeye sound like a cool idea? Actually, live-action Popeye does sound like a cool idea, but I know this because we already have one. And the animated film that was supposed to honor the original comics and cartoons got cancelled. Love that this keeps happening. I love that Hollywood thinks animation can't make money like the Super Mario Bros. Movie. Which, by the way, Mario as a franchise would have never existed if it wasn't for Popeye, so funny how things work like that. But alas, I'm just a kid who wants animation to be taken seriously by brain-dead studios. Of course, all I can do right now is hope that the animation industry gets better, big-headed corporations grow more than one brain cell, more people being able to actually show their unique visions and stories, and for more live-action adaptations to actually be worth a damn. But what do you think about all of this? Are you excited for any of the upcoming live-action projects I mentioned? Should they stop with these entirely? What's your favorite live-action adaptation? Does Minecraft deserve an apology after that Rugrats announcement? Is Woody Woodpecker the worst movie you ever watched? Tell me about it in the comments. Bye-bye.
I think anytime you take a legacy character, you have to be true to the fans of the character, and you have to introduce them to a modern sensibility. At some point in the afterlife, if I run into Walter Lantz, I want him to shake my hand and not punch me.
Home sweet home, and no one around to bother me.